This is the SD2IEC Epyx Fastload cartridge. At the top is the SD card slot. You've got the next and the previous image buttons for multi-volume discs with a reset button here and a disc reset button just here. It uses a serial connection, 6 DIN pin cable, same as the regular 1541 disk drive and other disk drives for the 8-bit range of Commodore computers. It uses a standard SD card. You need to format them to a block size of 8K for the best compatibility. This is a 16 gig card. I've tried 4 gig, 8 gig and 32 gig as well. I've had them all working. I don't know if anything higher works. You can use the adapters though. These adapters are pretty good. You can use micro SD cards in it as well. I don't know if they're cheaper or not. Depends what's available near you, I suppose, which is probably best. And I'm sure that there's places that don't have the older, larger cards. Anyway, it just clips in. You just plug the card into the slot. It goes in quite nicely. It's got a clicking return, sort of spring-loaded. Yeah. So we're just going to set the drive. So by default, it's set to drive 8, the same as your disk drives. Internally though, the cartridge has jumpers. You can set it to 8, 9, 10 or 11. You just got to take off the cover. There's just 4 screws, pretty straightforward. Pull the screws off and the cover pretty much falls away, and you can change where the jumpers are. So as you can see, the jumpers are right at the top. These ones are yellow ones. So the way I've got them sitting here, that's actually not set to anything. It's the same as having nothing. So right now it's 8. So if I put this jumper on just here on the first 2 vertically, it's set to 9. The next one across, set to 10. And with them both on, you guessed it, 11. There's also an external power header. You can make your own power source for it. If the idea is you can use it on a different computer that doesn't have a Commodore 64 slot, or you can free up the slot. So there's 2 pins just here. The top one is the positive and the bottom one is the negative. It uses 5 volts. You can, it lets you use the thing on a VIC-20 or a Commodore 16 or a Plus 4, or something that doesn't have a Commodore 64 slot, or you might want to use the final cart on your computer at the same time, or some other cart. So I've just made this cable up. It's a old USB cable, and I've just cut the end off one of the ends. They come with 4 wires in them. But generally speaking, I've found that the 5 volts is usually red and the ground is usually black. So I've just put some DuPont female pin headers on the 5 pin and the ground, and tied back the other 2, which is normally used for data, and you can just plug them in. I'll just power it up after I plug this in, and you'll be able to see how it starts up normally. There's a little LED in the top corner here. It stays on for longer if there's no disc in, but yeah, I'll put the disc in here and power this up just now. And you should see a flash, which is the startup. If it's plugged into the computer, it'll do the same thing. And I'll press the, there you go. So I'll press the reset button as well, the disk drive reset button. And you'll see it reset there as well. So that's how you power the thing without plugging it in. Obviously you plug the serial socket in, and then you can just use it like a regular disk drive. Okay, so this is a quick demo on how to use the thing. You can just plug it in basically and use it as a regular disk drive, but that's assuming that you've got everything in the one folder, the root directory on the card, and because the cards are very big, you probably wouldn't want to do that. So I'm just going to type out a quick program to demonstrate the Epyx Fastload directory. So that, as you can see, there's a program in memory still there. Now normally if you typed load $8, that would destroy the listing. So as you can see, there it is. Now the @ command is another command that's a part of the fast loader. It'll give you a status, and the / is the same as typing load and then the file name, $8. Which on a Commodore 64, that loads the program into basic memory, or it's starting at basic memory. It doesn't matter if it's a basic program or a machine code program, as long as it starts at the beginning of basic, which a lot of programs do, but not all of them. So I'm just loading up Donkey Kong now, and as you can see, that loaded fine. It loaded very quickly, and this is the real speed of this cartridge. It's way faster than other things. And let's have a look. I'll do the same thing with the % command. Now that loads the program into where the header of the file says it begins. In this case, obviously, Donkey Kong loads into the beginning of basic, but if it was a program that needed to load somewhere else, it would need that % rather than the /. These are the part of the Epyx Fastload cartridge. This is not how it will work plugged into another computer or as an external device rather than in memory. So the Commodore key and the run stop key auto loads the first program on the disk. So we're using the file browser right now to load the program. You can use your joystick to pick it. Port 2 might work in port 1, I'm not sure. Or you can use the arrow keys. Loads up, works fine. If you don't want to type anything out. In this case, I'd put the file browser in my root directory. So we're loading up the file browser now, and we're going to try something a little bit different. Now you can see we're looking inside another folder. Instead of a program file, we're loading a disk image that I've got here. We're loading up Commando. So you sort of have to browse through, and this is where it's easier to use the file browser than using the normal commands or the fast loader commands, although you can use other commands, and I'll go into that a bit later. So obviously Commando takes longer to load, to uncrunch the demo at the start of it than the game took to load. The game was loaded the moment that flashing started. This is all the loader and the instructions and everything. We're avoiding the screen, and that's Commando, and I love this game. I'm just going to play this a little bit. There was a time when I could finish the entire game on one man. Not so now. Nothing like playing it on real hardware. I can't stand using a keyboard for this kind of stuff, and there I go, I'm dead. Enough of this. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate something a little bit different. This is a point of contention, and the community seems to feel that you can't use multi-disk on an SD2IEC. Right now you can see that auto list.swap file. I've just gone into the Questron disk image, and then I've pressed Q to quit out. And as you can see, we're looking at disk 1, but you could see there was a disk 2 in there. So I've loaded the first file on the disk image, and the game's loading. And we'll select a saved game, and then it'll ask me for disk 2. And all you do when it does that is you've got to obviously prepare the folder and put that auto swap.list file there, and press the next button when it asks for the next disk, or the previous button. Press return, and look, it's loading the second disk. So yes, you can definitely use multi-volume programs with this, and I'll demonstrate how to do this just using the Fastload wedge. So enough of this. So without using the file browser, you use the @ command to change folders. So it's sort of like DOS when you type CD for change directory. And we're going to go into the RPG folder where I've got a few games in there pre-configured. And now we're inside that. You can see the dollars is showing a different folder. And we're going to change directory to Questron 1, one of my old favorite role-playing games, a bit different to Ultima. And so again, just going to go into that disk1 disk image, and because that auto swap.list file's there, it just knows what the volumes are for this program. So now we're in disk 1. We're going to load this using the Commodore run stop key. Auto runs, starts, the game loads, and it's going to ask for the second disk after I start the game. And I'll pick the save game, and it should come up asking for another disk, and you just press the disk image next button and then press enter, and lo and behold, it's loading the second disk image. And that's how you run a multi-volume program with an SD2IEC. Okay, so now I'm going to do a demo on how to actually make the swap file. I'm copying Shard of Spring, which is a 3-disc game, into a demo folder in Windows, obviously. And now I'm going to create a new notepad file and call it autoswap.lst. Now I'm doing that on purpose because it's what a lot of people do. And it's a mistake that they make. So it thinks that the autoswap.list file is actually a .text file, and the .list is a part of the name. So literally, you just put the file names in the swap list. So shard-0 or e0.d64, shard, e1.d64 and e2.d64 as shown here. Save the file, but it's a common error which I'm doing on purpose right now. If you have a look in the actual directory in DOS, see it's autoswap.lst.text, and that's probably why a lot of people can't make the thing work. So I'm basically renaming the file. This is how you can do it in Windows. Autoswap.list using the move command, and now it's right. That's it. That will work. Okay, so now I'm going to do a quick demo of the Shard of Spring game working. I've copied the demo folder across to my SD card and put the SD card into the SD2IEC Fastload combo cartridge, and I've plugged the cartridge in. So we'll do it manually using the Fastload features, the @cd : command to go into the demo folder. Now, because we're looking at images rather than directories or folders, we treat it like a folder. Although I've got to use the correct file name, I've got to put the .d64 at the end of it. So let's just do that now. And it should be okay. Yep, that's okay. And let's have a look. So we're inside one of Shard of Spring, and I've done the Commodore run stop key to start it, to load the first program on the disk and run it automatically. And so it wants disk 2. We'll just press the next button and press any key, and away it goes. This is a 3-disc program. I think the last disc is a character disc. So we'll load the game, we'll load some characters, and then we'll just select the next disc and continue and pick the party with the characters in it, which is the green one, I think. So it's loading now. Oh, it wants disc 2 again, so we'll swap back to disc 2. And it's loading. And there's your game, Shard of Spring, working with 3-disc images. And I don't know what I'm doing. I've gone into a town, I think, by the looks of things. This is another one of these Ultima clones. Okay, and there you have it. That seems to have worked just fine. So that's pretty much it for now. I'll link where to buy these from below. They ship from Australia and they sell for about 50 Australian dollars, which is about 35 US. The shipping is very quick, apparently. What I might do is another video later on going into some more of the features. The SD2IEC has a lot more stuff you can do with it that sort of not necessarily needed by most people, but it's probably features that might be of interest to some people. And the Epyx Fastload has a whole disk management system, big menu system, and you can work with disks, move files, copy files, and this kind of thing. And it's also got a machine code monitor, so there's other things like that too. So I'll cover them at a later date. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll have something more for you to watch later on. Thank you very much.